So
Excellent.
I can just go ahead and introduce myself for those who don't know me. My name is Heather Howard, and I'm the Executive Director of the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce. And I know we have Bobby Lee here. Bobby Lee is one of our directors on our board of directors. And Stephanie is also a member of the Chamber of Commerce with her business, The Hangout.
Yep.
We have Wanda from... Oh, let's wait until she's actually connected. I know that this session was shared with the Conception Bay Area Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Board of Trade and the Mount Pearl Chamber. So I know we have some names and faces that I haven't met, but we're happy to have you here, however you found us.
You got here.
And Wanda, hi Wanda, thanks so much. I'm not sure if she can hear us yet, but so I'm here. We're joined today by Chad Decker from People Stuff Incorporated, and Chad is a HR consultant, and he's actually at one of his clients' offices right now and popped out to chat with us. So Chad's a member of all of the chambers, so I thought it would be great to share it with everyone. Chad did a session with us on employee engagement. I think it was around this time last year, and we had some really great feedback from the conversations had in that session. So I thought it would be appropriate to have Chad come in and talk about recruiting and everything that is going along with hiring employees during this time that we find ourselves in. So Chad always brings a little bit of a different spin to people, I guess, and I guess that's why you call it your business, people stuff. And I always love what Chad has to say about, you know, dealing with people and managing people and keeping a positive culture in your business. So I'll let Chad take it away. And thanks for being here.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I just wanted to see everybody's in the room here. I just want to, if everybody can take 2 seconds, introduce themselves and just say their company. That's all. We're not going to get into any big conversations, but just wanted to do that.
Yeah, so if Stephanie, if you want to go ahead, I can just point fingers at everyone.
I'm Stephanie Pennell, and I am co-owner of The Hangout in CBS, which just opened in December. And so, yeah, I'm actually really, I got a few questions for you, Chad. So
great.
I'm glad you're putting off this meeting.
Yeah, excellent. I'll see if I can help. There we go.
And Elena?
I'm Elena Dacher. I'm studying a Master of Science in Management at Mon. I'm not working right now, but I'm interested in the topic. Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Good for you.
Great.
Wanda?
Good morning. Hey, Chad.
Hey, how's it going, Wanda?
Excuse me, it's Wanda Palmer. I'm with the Mount Pearl Paradise Chamber of Commerce. Had the pleasure of having Chad do a few sessions for us. Always interesting. So looking forward to hearing what you have to say today.
Oh, great. Great.
Awesome. And Jennifer?
Hi there, Jennifer Meedus. I'm with Provincial Government Advanced Education, Skills and Labour, Director of Workforce Development Secretary. So we do a lot of work with employers with respect to accessing labour, particularly in current economic times. We're having a lot of great discussions in that regard. So this happened to pop up in my LinkedIn profile yesterday, so I just decided to register.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks
great.
for being here.
Yeah.
Bobby Lee?
Hi, like Heather said, I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce and also on the exec. I also own and operate the Wee Gym. And I've had the pleasure of meeting Chad a couple of times.
Yes, exactly. Thanks.
Thanks, Bobby Lee. And Holly?
Hi, I'm Holly Marsh. I work with Primerica Financial Services. Our office is in Mount Pearl.
Yep.
We supply small businesses with benefits and teach families about how money works.
Cool.
Excellent.
So just before you start, Chad, I just wanted to mention that I am recording this session because we did have others join up, and we do have some members who want to get the replay. So don't let that discourage you from having an open discussion. You won't ruin the replay or anything like that. This discussion is where the awesome stuff happens. So take it away.
Yeah. Yeah, no, so thanks for coming out. Let's jump right in because we don't have a whole lot of time. But I'm viewing this more of a discussion, kind of me going through some points. I didn't want to put together a PowerPoint presentation. I just thought more of a discussion. And if people want more detail, I can kind of jump in. But I mean, just to give you a sense, over the last 3 months, me as an HR consultant, I've gone through many different changes. I've had some clients who completely shut down and kind of parked our relationship, which I understand 100%. I've had new people come to me because they needed the extra help. So I've kind of created some relationships. And I've had others that we've taken the time who have remained open. So I've just you know, it's the same as every other day, just kind of, we've worked a lot on safety procedures. And then I have others that shut down, but we spend some time, as I always say, sharpening the blade. Now's the time to let's sit down and work on some HR stuff. So it's been interesting for sure. And I've seen it all. And so it's kind of what I wanted to share, what I've seen happening and some tips on things that have been successful, things that have not been successful. And hopefully in the end, you'll have a little bit of guidance and direction. So I'm going to talk a little bit about recruitment. I'm going to go through my notes here. I'm going to talk a little bit about recruitment. I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of like now that you're coming back to work, what I'm calling orientation. So whether that's orientation for new employees or what I'm saying orientation for coming back to work. So welcoming back kind of things, because I think that's got to be done properly for success, and kind of have some tips around that of what I've again seen successful. So let's just talk about what's going on. Obviously, a lot of places, as I mentioned, some have been shut down for 3 months. Some have been just moving along, and some are kind of a combination of the both. So what I've really kind of emphasized with a lot of people have that I work with, they've laid their staff off. They've kind of just taken the approach that, you know, once we get the green light, we're going to go back to work and all of our employees are going to come back. And I've been very quick to tell them, like, don't assume that, because things are going to change. You know, people are going to now be home for 2 or 3 months, and they're going to start thinking about their options. They're going to start having no options. They're going to have to, you know, look at what they can and can't do. So I said, be prepared to have to recruit, you know, and I think sometimes I've got a little bit of like, oh, I don't think that's going to happen or whatever. And there's also the surge that a lot of people are going to see. So they're going to get back to work. And for some, their demand is going to be amazing. Like, it's going to be over. I mean, I'm thinking of like barbers or dentists or things like that. I mean, they're just going to be overwhelmed, where they probably could open their doors for 24 hours a day for the first couple of weeks and still have business going in and out. So people need to prepare for that. And people are going to be jumping. Some people are not going to want to come back to work, whether they want to remain on EI or whether they can't because of, you know, maybe not having daycare or family demands or things like that. So that's really important to start thinking about that. And what I want to stress to people is workforce planning. You want to sit down as you know, whether you have a management team or your whole team, and start looking at what do you have staff-wise, what are you going to need, what are the chances of all those, if there are people off, what are the chances of some of them coming back, what are the chances of, you know, them not coming back. So it's kind of planning your hiring process, which is really what we're talking about, right? So start thinking about that. And it's going to be a challenge, because there's a lot of job postings going up now where people are just calling back their employees and they're not coming back, especially the more of the entry level positions. That's a big challenge. And some people are not going to fit with the changes that you're making, because you're coming back to work, there's big changes, and some people might not want to do that. So these are all things you need to be prepared for. So it's a time of change, and you need to kind of think also, what are your immediate needs and what are your long-term needs? That's another big challenge. It's kind of like, what's it going to look like between, you know, June 8th for a lot of people till maybe the end of July versus long-term. So you might have a need to bring back some or more, and then lower down to your long-term needs. So it all depends on the demand and the situation and all that. And I think everybody here is in a different situation. And then there's the virtual work, non-virtual work, or a combination of that. So depending on your situation, your employees might still be working from home. Some people, of course, that's not possible. And maybe it's a combination. That's what a lot of companies are doing now. They're starting to see the benefits. You know, I've said for the last while, and I saw this trend coming where employees there has been a demand from certain employees that want to work from home, and managers being resistant to that, thinking it's I don't know if I can do that. They have this fear they're not going to produce, they're not going to do the actual work. And what's happening now is because we're forced to do that, and managers are seeing, oh wait, hold on here, this is actually working. We're still getting our work done. People are being responsible and reliable, and now they're setting up their offices so people are either continuing to work home, or they're picking even one day a week where they say everybody's going to work from home on Friday. So I have one client, this went through exactly what I just said. They had employees over the last couple of years wanting to work from home. They said no, they didn't really kind of trust it, or didn't really think they would get high production from them. And now they're home, and some of them are actually producing even more. So now they're saying, maybe we should keep this up, lower our office space, do that. So so that's the kind of things you need to think about. So let's talk about the actual recruitment. So job postings. So I'm suggesting to people who are putting up job postings to kind of list things like urgently hiring on there, things like that, because I think it's really the demand right now for certain jobs is higher than the supply. So it's kind of it's difficult, and for some of the people think on the call here today, it's going to be hard to find those people. So I mean, any kind of things you can do to kind of attract people, you want to think about that in those job postings, and also listing the safety, that we're taking safety measures to ensure people are safe, and talking also about if there are reduced hours or things like that, or you're open to talking about that, because I think it's anything to kind of attract people right now to work around that, because some people are off, they're getting the CERB and they're okay with that, and they're just going to stay off for a while until they feel they need to go back. So that's the unfortunate side effect, I guess, of the CERB, of what's happening a little bit. And there's not much you can really do about that, other than the fact that the CERB is not going to last forever. So that's it. So that's my kind of 2 cents on that. Are any questions on like job postings or anything like that?
I was just going to mention that I think right now flexibility is huge.
Yes.
Like as an attractor, because of all those situations that people are dealing with. Like if you are on the CERB, you can still make $1,000.
That's right.
Maybe you as a business owner having that very part-timer could be a good situation, because you might be able to get a really good, talented, skilled person who wants that extra income. That's my thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jennifer.
I'm hearing from several companies actually who are trying to get people back, and they don't want to go back because they're staying home getting the $500 a week. And little do they know they have to pay taxes on them, and it's going to be nailed, but it's a real challenge for the business owner.
Yeah, that's right. It's a real challenge for sure. And, the thing right now, there's a cap on that. So eventually that's going to run out. I think we're getting close to that, I believe, but we'll see where that goes. And yeah, so that's great there. I mean, the other thing that I want to mention was also about, I always recommend, of course, when you're reviewing resumes, to do a pre-screening process, which is kind of like, that 15-minute conversation with specific questions. And I think one of the questions you need to start figuring out are people making the leap? If you're looking for someone permanently, are they making the leap, and are they going to stay, or are they going to make the leap and just wait till their other job is open and then go back? So yeah, I think that's something to be very aware of and try and figure that out. Of course, it doesn't stop anybody from not telling you the truth on that, but you definitely want to be aware of that. Or even if you are hiring them temporarily, that, trying to figure out, if they're going to be going back to their job. So I think that's going to be a very important thing to check and at least try and figure out if you can. And then the other thing is during the pre-screen is to talk about some safety measures, just making them aware of some safety measures that I'm going to recommend you put in place when people come back, because I think there's a responsibility there. And I also think there's a little bit of backlash that could come back from you. We're all very highly alert and aware of what's going on. Like anybody who's getting affected, it's hitting the news, it's talking about where they got it. And, unfortunately, there's some backlash on that could happen. So you have to be careful. I mean, we can't stop it. If it happens, it happens. But at least if you take the proper measures, you can say we did these things. Versus if there was a sloppy return. You don't have that in your pocket to say, listen, we did these processes to help prevent it. And unfortunately, these things will still happen, because they will, right? I mean, we all know the second wave is going to happen. It's just a matter of how severe it's going to be or not be. So that's kind of the thing. The other thing that I've been doing is interviewing. So interviewing and using this technology right here, Zoom technology. So we've actually, there's some benefits to it, to be honest with you. You can kind of get things done a little faster, you know, doing kind of back-to-back interviews from people all over the province or country or whatever. So I've been doing that, and it's been great. You know, I think people are starting to get used to it. You know, I think a lot of people are using it for various reasons, and I think it's been great. It's been a great opportunity. The thing that you're missing out, of course, is they can't come into the office and see that environment and all that stuff. But I recommend that you consider that. It lowers your exposure of people coming into the office and things like that. So try and use a Zoom technology. You know, Zoom, I would say Zoom, it's not Zoom, it's video conferencing technology to do interviews and get through them quicker. So and I think that's the key. Some of you are going to be hiring, you know, we want to hire ASAP kind of thing. So it's, you know, hey, if you can speed things up, use technology, get through them quicker, get people lined up, good to go. Any questions on that?
I was thinking, like, for Zoom, you could almost use it as like maybe a first and second interview process, if, like, you know, and then come meet on Zoom and then come in as a second.
Exactly. Yeah, as a second. So you're lowering the exposure of people coming in your workplace. You know, think about those things. And again, it just shows you being socially responsible and doing that. So yeah, is there a couple questions there in chat we want to go through? I know some jumped up there. I don't know if there were comments or questions. So Jennifer mentioned the job bank has a job matching feature. Yes, so the job bank is excellent for that. Definitely recommend it. I use it all the time. Great place to find resources and match up. And every time I put a job posting up there, I get lots of resumes. So that's definitely something to consider. There are lots of unknowns for businesses starting up. Newfoundland Business has a response team to help. Yes. And even 811, I've used 811 many times to help a couple of businesses. We had some questions around things, and they've been very helpful, very quick to get back to. So that's been an excellent resource for when you have those questions around safety, of employee safety or exposure. They've been really helpful. So that's been great.
Chad, I have a question, and I don't know if now is the right time, but
sure.
Throughout this, I had to lay off 3 employees. They were all part-time.
Yeah.
Is there a certain way I have to rehire? Because it's highly likely that I'm not going to be able to rehire all 3.
Yeah.
So how do I choose? I mean, personally, I know who I want to choose, but what's the right way?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. It's a really, that's one of the points I was going to bring up, but now's a great time to talk about that. So what I've been recommending to people, first of all, it's to do a recall letter. So I mean, obviously it's a conversation to say, we're recalling you, but I always recommend put it in writing that you're officially been recalled. We're calling you, and I can share a letter if you want, an example. Mm-hmm. Just saying, you're recalled out of this date. We need to report to work at this date. We put safety measures in place. If they were full-time employees and are coming back part-time, mention that. So, we're easing back. We're going to offer part-time hours. You are still, you're still considered a full-time employee, or you were part-time and you're still going to be part-time, and you're going to fall under the same contract. That is still the same employment contract. I think that's something to mention to people because, because employers are saying, what happens now? Because I laid them off. Do I have to write a new contract? So you don't need to do that. Just need to tell them they're under the same contract for sure. And the other side is a couple people that I've dealt with are saying, oh, this is a great time now to, we don't have written contracts. Let's start doing them. And I'm always cautious with that with people. I recommend it, but you need, whenever you are in, and I'm going to go down to what's a rabbit hole here of contracts, but whenever you, if you don't have written contracts and now you wake up tomorrow and say, we need written contracts, the key is give people notice. So it's a contract saying, as of this date, you will be this contract will come into place. Even if everything's exactly the same, they just now put it in writing. Give people like my rule of thumb is give them a month's notice for every year of service. That's not a foolproof notice period. But if you have an employee that literally has been there with your employment, with your company for 10 years, and has always worked under an unwritten contract, and you're giving now a written, I would literally give them 10 months notice. Say this contract will come into place in 10 months. If you choose not to work under it, let us know, and your employment will be terminated as of that date. The majority will sign it, but it's just kind of giving people that opportunity to really understand it and give them notice. So that's what I would recommend. And I mean, yes, you have mentioned that, like, who do you recall? You're not in a unionized environment or nothing like that, so you can choose who you want to bring back. I think you should tell your employees that, especially if you want to bring back some, that, we've recalled back some employees, and be honest with them. If it's like you're planning on bringing them all back, say that, our plans are to bring everybody back, but just not at this time. And then there's the other side. If you're deciding that you don't want to bring someone back, don't just ignore them, because that could cause problems. Some people have said that to me. Well, they weren't a great employee anyway, so we're not going to call them back. Like, well, you laid them off, you didn't terminate them. So at this point, you need to terminate them and give them notice. So let them know we won't be recalling you back. We're going to give you notice and even pay them, payable notice if that's the case. I mean, that's what I recommend. Every situation is different. That's kind of the legal perspective. Some people, again, won't choose to come back, and maybe they have another job. So it's good to keep in communication and see what's going on, because they may not have intentions of coming back. So I hope that's
so the first step is the recall letter.
Yep.
And so then, they have the option to not come back, because I have to be really clear. I don't know what capacity I'm going to be able to bring them back. So
that's right.
If it's, they could say, well, if you can't guarantee me X number of hours, I might go elsewhere. And that's the reality I'm kind of in, because, it's entry level. There's probably, like you said, there's probably going to be lots of options.
Yeah.
So then if say my first choice says no, then I go on to my second choice and do the same process.
Yeah.
The recall letter. Okay.
And the other thing I've been recommending to a lot of people who are, and everybody's different, everybody, their situation's different, what they can and can't afford, but I've been recommending to people, if you have fear of like, I don't want to bring back my employees because I don't need them right now, I don't have the time. I said, well, think about the wage subsidy, because that's there. If you get them in and pay them, these are for full-time employees now. I'm thinking more in this example, but if you have a full-time employee that you're normally paying 40 hours and you're like, you know what, I think I only need them for 20, but I have this fear that if I offer that, they're going to go somewhere else. Well, bring them back, use the wage subsidy. That's kind of what it's for, so you can keep them and use the wage subsidy and get 75% of their wages covered. So that's kind of the key. That'll help you out too, right? So a lot of companies I know are doing that, and that way it keeps their employees at risk of them finding other work, right? Yeah.
And am I correct that Wanda, the wage subsidy can be used for a part-time, like Stephanie?
Oh yes, they can. Yeah, just my example I was using. Yeah. But yes, if you have a part-time employee that normally gets paid 20 hours a week, yes, you can use it for that. If you're only hiring them for 10 or shift, you can use that to keep them. So I've been doing that with a lot of companies, and it's been very successful. Keeping their employees, and and they've been really good, because some weeks they've had them in for, this is for full-time employees, they've had them in for 20, and other weeks they've had them in for 4. So it all depends on, because what they're doing is training and stuff like that, right? Getting people ready to open up for June 8th.
I'm curious, Chad, any idea how long that wage subsidy is in for?
They just extended it. It's now, I don't know the exact date, but it's somewhere at the end of August.
I know also they are doing some consultation on the continuation. Like, they did extend it, but there is some consultation going on right now about what does the wage subsidy look like further into the future. So who knows, right?
Yeah, I haven't looked a lot into that, but I see maybe, maybe something being there. you know, maybe it'll look different. Maybe it'll be a smaller percentage. Maybe it'll be the employer now has to commit more. I don't know. Who knows, right? So I think whatever gets the economy moving, right? So it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Great
And
opportunity.
there are certain parameters around the wage subsidy. So if you do look into it, make sure you read those about like your employee has to not be off, or you have to, for more than 14 weeks, or how you pay them. Anyway, there's a lot of parameters around it. Just make sure you read into that. I'm sure I or someone else could do another session on that. And there's many out there too. So if you need more details, take a look. I'm sure there's lots of information out there at this point. All right. I'm going to jump into my next part here. So we talked about contracts. That's great. So thanks for bringing that up. We got that part done. So let's talk about orientation, because I think that's another part about the orientation of whether it's new employees or orientation of people coming back to work. So give me 1 second here. Just got to bring my notes back up. So, I mean, the key, what I've been telling everybody, and the companies that I'm seeing that have really been successful are the ones that are upping their communication game. More communication, more consistent communication, and creating some certainty during these very uncertain times. You know, basically your employees have been off. Some people, their employees have been off for 3 months. You know, we all know what it's like when sometimes you take a week off for vacation and you come back to work on that Monday and it's like you feel like, you know, you're exhausted, you're tired, you're like trying to get back in the groove of this. So remember that your employees have been off for 3 months and you're coming back in, and so for some people they're trying to put the pedal to the metal, and that's not going to work. You know, people are coming in, they're scared, they're tired, they've had family challenges, daycare challenges, stress, finance stress, lack of support, isolation. You know, there's a lot going on. So empathy is the key in helping people, right? You know, so being there to help them and have like this, and tell them this is a short-term vision. You know, we're going to meet I've been recommending meet every day, 20 minutes, half an hour, talk about what's working, what's not working. People are also exposed to a lot of information out there. You know, I've been recommending to tell people, like, listen, don't overexpose yourself because it can be daunting and can be stressful. Just some little tips. But I mean, so, you know, a good back to work orientation before people come back, even a virtual orientation if people are working from home, you know, do a virtual orientation of checking in and talking about that. And reviewing any kind of safety policies and procedures that I'm going to talk about next, to make sure you go over those and ensure people are understand it, and reviewing them consistently, because that's the thing. Like, it's you have a lot of policies, procedures, and people are going to forget. So you have to make sure you're again, empathy, right? Giving people the benefit of the doubt and repeating it, and that's why it's important to do that every day. So what I've been recommending and what I've been setting up and what I've seen success in, a lot of people are, they have kind of a sheet that they sign coming back to work. Just the general that, you know, have you been out of the country in the last 2 weeks? All these kind of questions like that. Have you been exposed? That, you know, coming back to work, there is obviously an increased risk for them of being exposed, and they're okay with that. So it's making them aware and just kind of taking that perspective of, you know, obviously we know, you know, whenever you leave your door, you're being more exposed than sitting at home, right? So it's just making them aware of that and having a sign-off sheet. So again, I can share a document that I've been using to help you out with that. So that's step one. Step two is putting a good, you know, washing your hands process in place and all that, and deciding, you know, do you need people to wear masks? Do you need people to be, you know, what's your social distancing rules? How are you setting up your office to ensure that's happening? And kind of making those processes. So again, another document I can share with you that'll help you out. Even little things, like a couple offices I worked that they've talked about people bringing in their lunches, putting it in the fridge for like 15 minutes. So apparently that helps, like if there's any viruses on it, that it will actually kill them. So just little things like that, or change of clothing. You know, coming in, having your work clothing, work shoes, there's different things like that. So all great things that when I share that document, you'll see that on there. Social distancing during lunchtime, limiting people in your workspace, limiting customer interactions, limiting money handling, all those things. So there's a lot of safety things that when you get that document, you'll see I'll have that all kind of listed. And everybody, of course, everybody's different, everybody's situation things you can and can't do, and we'll have a challenge with. That's going to be the key. So putting those safety things in place. Also, a lot of places are now checking people's temperature when they come in. So if you can find a thermometer, a lot of people have been using the infrared ones, where they basically just shine it at your head and tells you your temperature. And just a quick little sign-in sheet just saying, I don't have a cough, or my temperature's not high. I don't, have this little, and again, another document I'll share. That's been really working really well. People have been using that and just kind of making sure it's holding people accountable too, right? To say we have to report these things when they happen. And it shows that you're taking the steps to create a safe work environment.
So Chad, is that just so we're doing our due diligence as owners, so that if anything ever happened, or if we got an inspection or something like that, we have like a trace, like we're going to track it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, everybody's different. Like, I work with a lot of dental clinics, and they have a board that's really coming out saying these are the things you have to do. And, they want to see records, and they want to make sure they're tracking it. And if they're not doing it properly, they could be anything from shut down to fine to whatever. And heaven forbid, if there was ever a cluster in their office and they were showing, oh, we didn't do any of that stuff, there would be some ramifications. That's not the case for other private places, but I'm recommending you do it and show your diligence. And, it will only, if anything, it will help you from a social perspective to say we did these things and we're complying and we're doing our part, that we're making sure that we're not going to be a cause of a cluster or whatever, right? So yeah.
I'll just mention real quick about, I know you mentioned the temperature checking, and I mean, that's not a requirement so far for most businesses from the provincial government, but I do notice that a lot are doing it. I think like Steph, for you, I know there's not necessarily like a direct guidance package for your business. So I kind of looked at the hairstyling, like the personal service one, and you would think that would be kind of one of the higher levels of, back to work guides, and they don't have to check temperatures. But I want to mention Eastern Safety Services did have those thermometers. I don't know if they do. They're a member of the chamber. You can find them in the chamber directory, or you can just reach out to me and I'll give you the contact.
I bought a couple of those. Actually, when I saw your post, I bought a couple for some clients. Now, at the time, they ran out very quickly, but they said they were getting more. So, but they work really well. They're good ones. Yep. Okay. So let's talk about the ease back part. So now you've got employees coming back to work. And again, I mentioned this earlier, you got people coming back who, they're going to come in the office, they're going to come in the workplace, they're going to come in whatever kind of setup you have, probably going to feel a little uncomfortable, almost worried, unsure where to stand, what to do, how to socialize. It's that like, I don't know what to do with myself. So they're worried. They're a little, whether they're worried about their own safety or worried about doing something socially they shouldn't. So there's that little bit of awkwardness that I've seen every time when you do it, and people are grieving. Remember that. Like, what do you mean grieving? They've lost a normal life that they're used to, and there's more stress. So they're literally coming to work. For a lot of people, they're grieving, so be aware of that. And again, show empathy and help that. So that's why I'm recommending an ease back and how to do that. And give people the benefit of the doubt if they're making mistakes, see how they're doing. I've seen a couple employees who just, just noticed they weren't doing well, and, had chats with them and just broke down, just, oh my God, family life is so hard right now, and I don't know what to do with my kids, and, I'm not getting the support, and it's stressful, and it is, and even just to say, I know it is, and just to say, I'm going through this too, and it's hard, and I'm running from one end of the town to the other with my child, and I'm trying to figure out school, and I feel like a bad parent, and all these things, so having those conversations are important, and let people talk about those things. And so expect lower results, expect mistakes, expect tired employees. Don't expect pedal to the metal, back to normal, because it's not, right? So regular check-ins, communication is important, and set some deliverables for each week. Again, if you're a business, look at whatever your normal sales or operations are and expect that to be half, you know, or whatever the number is. No, it's going to be back, and how you do it, because it's going to be, for a lot of places, it's going to be hard. Now, don't get me wrong, others will see more, and they have the way they set things up. Again, going back to hairdressers or barbers, but even then, they're setting things in place and how to do it. I mean, I was thinking the other day, like, I know the Good Life is not set up from a gym perspective, but as someone was telling me now, like in New Brunswick and stuff, you have to make an appointment to go to the gym, and if you don't show up so many times, you could actually will take your membership away. So they're really putting things in place that's really different, you know. So I think everybody's thinking that way. So, you know, even less hours in a day, you know, thinking about 4 days a week, 4 days a week working or whatever, you know, to make it an ease back situation. Any questions on that? No, good. So frequent check-ins, that's the main thing too. You know, I'm very much somebody who's, I say, don't micromanage, micro-coach. Do more coaching, do more check-ins, do more, how are things going, one-on-ones, if you have the time. I mean, we don't all, some of us work in different environments where that may not be possible, but try what you can. And just increase your communication, you know, and even expect to send people home if they're struggling. You know, if they're struggling and they're not there and they're having a bad day, make sure they share that with you and say, listen, you know, go home, take the day off. It's just, it's, you know, it didn't work for you today and the situation is bad. And, but that'll just keep open lines of communication, right? So I'm recommending, my main things are start your day off with a quick 20-minute meeting. So, I mean, some places have done it, they have an hour-long meeting every day because there's just so much details and so many things changing and evolving. And that's it. What worked yesterday may not work today. You're building the plane while you're flying it. This is all new to everybody. Everybody has questions. Everybody's stressed, even the owners. And you don't be afraid to say that. Tell them, you know, we're taking this day by day. We need feedback. I'm trying to follow the processes, because then some employees want that answer. Like, when am I going back full time? When am I going back full time? And they might ask you 100 times, you know, every day, like, do you know yet? Do you know if we're going to be back full time next week? And it's okay to say, I don't know. You know, I don't know. We're following regulations. We're checking in. We're trying to figure out how we can do this. There's a lot of unknowns, and people need to be, and of course we all know some people are not comfortable with that and some people are, but just tell them to say, I don't know, is better than just ignoring them. So yeah, so that's kind of my tips. Any questions at all?
Bobby Lee, I don't know if you're there now. How are things going over your way with getting back to work?
You still there?
I know she has her kids at home too. So
Yeah,
that's the funny thing about webinars and stuff now. It's like, are you there? It's like, oh no, I'm off making breakfast.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Well, she's tuned in there now. Let's see. I think she just hit her.
Sorry, Heather, I had to take a call.
Yeah, no worries. We were just wondering how you're doing, or how you're, where you are with your business right now.
Hopefully we'll know more today or in the next couple of days. I know it was presented to the Department of Health. So hopefully we can find a resolution and open up soon. So.
Yeah, great.
Awesome.
How about you, Holly?
Well, we actually haven't stopped working throughout. We switched to Zoom meetings, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
So everybody's still kept in the loop. Everything is still going forward, just a little differently.
Yeah, and that's the way it's been. You know, I know for me it's been different. I mean, I'm back out now. The first month or two, it was like back-to-back Zoom meetings all day long. And part of me was starting to love it because I didn't have that travel time. I didn't have to drive all across the province or the city or whatever. So it was kind of nice. I could have a meeting with one client from 9 to 10 and another one at 10 o'clock to 11. So there were some benefits to it for sure, which is, again, is what people are thinking. They're thinking of implementing it more as a permanent thing. So yeah, there we go.
Awesome. Well,
so what I'll do is I'm going to send those forms. Heather, what I'll do, I'll send them to you. You can circulate them to everybody. In the meantime, just as a kind of final push for myself, I'm there if you need anything else. If you wanted me to help out with anything, recruitment, development, policies, procedures, contracts, whatever, I'm there to help out. So again, I work with a lot of clients on a retainer basis, but I also have those projects that I help people out with. So it's a lot of good, affordable things that I'm there to help with if you need it. Other than that, I know it's tough. Everybody's going through some tough times. Everybody's trying to figure out what the right thing to do is, and the ease back and trying to do it, but take advantage of the government programs that are there that will help you. That's what they're there for. And, communicate with your employees too. If there's anything to take away from this, it's communication and communication and safety. Those are two things you really need to focus on to ensure successful opening and getting back into it.
I just want to mention real quick, just where you mentioned about using the government programs. And I find that it can sometimes be challenging to wrap your head around, oh, I could use that to hire them back. Oh, and then I got that loan, and then there's that $10,000. So there is a hotline that the Canadian Chamber of Commerce has now where you can actually call in as a business owner and get advice from professional accountants and other financial advisors. So I'm going to be promoting that a little bit more over the next week. So you can see it on our Twitter or somewhere, but if you want to call that line, just let me know and I'll get you the number.
Yeah, that's a good resource for sure, because there's it can be a little confusing of all the different programs, what do they call acronyms?
Acronyms.
Yeah, it's just like, what is?
And sometimes it's having someone to bounce what you're thinking off of and be like, yeah, that's a good idea. Try that, work out the numbers when it comes to that. Right. And I've had those conversations.
Because they had that loan out there, I can't remember what that's called, but it's the $40,000 loan. And even myself, I was looking at getting that. And I just kept bouncing it back and forth, because at one point I thought, okay, yeah, I think I will qualify and should get it. And then I looked at it again and said, no, I don't. And then I looked at it again and said, yeah, I looked at it again and said, no. So it's like, it's confusing, right? It can be, so anybody that can help you take advantage of that for sure and get some guidance.
Definitely.
Great. Well, I hope this was useful.
No, I think it was great. So I'm going to have the replay available, and I will send out those documents to everyone who is registered.
I'm going to have to do it. I'll do it later today, because I've got to jump right into another meeting, and then you can just circulate it to whoever, by the way. You can just circulate that to whoever needs it.
Oh, awesome. Thanks so much.
So not necessarily just people in this talk. So anybody who needs them, use them.
Perfect. And I'll send those to you as well, Wanda. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Great to see you all. And stay tuned. I'm hoping to have some other webinars that are a little unique like this coming up within the next few weeks. I know everyone's so busy, so I'm trying to keep them short and sweet, hopefully, for everyone. So thanks.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Have a great day. Hope you get out and get some sun.
Definitely, yes.
Bye.
Okay.